dearest collaborators in mission. Welcome once again to another episode of Treasures of the Past and Experiences of the Present. I'm Marlon Bobier Vargas. I am very excited for this another interview with a fellow SVD missionary. Today we are privileged to have Father Anthony Leduc. Welcome, Father Anthony.
Thank you so much.
It's been a while. It's good to see you in person because
Yes.
we've been communicating through messages online. You've lived in different countries. We're originally from Vietnam. You went to the US, Australia, and now you're working in Thailand. How have these experiences, different cultures, shaped the way you see faith and communication in the world today?
Yeah, so I spent my childhood in Vietnam, and then I spent the next 20 years in the US.
Yes.
And then for the last almost 20 years now, I've been in Thailand. I feel really at home in different places. I feel like this experience has helped me to really not be afraid when I move into a new environment because I've done it so many times before. So as a missionary, we're always called to go to different places, whether it's for different occasions, meetings, or even for long-term work. I always feel like it's an opportunity to explore. It's an opportunity to find something new about another's culture. And I find that I'm really able to appreciate whatever it is that I encounter more because of this experience of being in different places in the past.
Father Anthony, you have this platform, Asian Research Center for Religion and Social Communications, and you were the coordinator, director, leader of this platform. What are some of the most important things you're working on right now in this role?
Thanks for that question. The first thing I have to say is that I took on this job after a really big giant in the field of pastoral communication, and that is Father Franz Joseph Eilers, SVD. He is a German, but he taught many years in the Philippines, and he also served a long time as Secretary of the Social Communication Office of FABC. And while he was in that role, he decided to collaborate with various scholars in the field of religion and social communication from different religious traditions in Asia in order to establish the Asian Research Center, and we call it just ARC. And so in 2015, I had a chance to meet him in a conference in Australia, and he invited me to collaborate with him. So that's how I ended up in this role. And soon after he retired, and then he's also now moved on, passed away, and so I've taken over. And so basically, what I'm doing is to continue his vision, to do research and to promote research in the Asian context at the intersection of religion and communication. He felt that in Asia, there were institutions that were devoted to research in religion, and there were institutions that were devoted to communication. But somehow there wasn't a institution that was dealing at the intersection of both fields. So he wanted to establish this as an academic and interreligious platform to promote research in the Asian context. So for us, that's what we try to do, is to create opportunities to promote research, especially for upcoming scholars, those who are starting out, they want to get published, they're writing their research, but they don't have yet a platform to introduce their research. And also, we also organize different conferences. Yes, so that they have the chance to present at these international conferences.
And speaking of publishing works, writings, research, you recently wrote a book about how faith can help us care for the environment. And one of your book is this one, Religious Self-Cultivation and Environmental Flourishing, a Humanistic Relational Approach. I understand this is one of the many writings that you already accomplished. So can you explain why do you think religion or spirituality matters when it comes to protecting nature?
The reality is that right now, the vast majority of the people in this world still adhere to some sort of religious tradition
Mm-hmm.
or spiritual tradition. And the latest studies from Pew says up to 85% of the global population have some sort of religious belief.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, um, ethical systems that are inspired by religious and spiritual traditions are still the predominant way
Mm-hmm.
that inspire and direct and guide people's actions and lives in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the reason why we need religious systems
Mm-hmm.
to promote the teachings that would promote environmental flourishing. So my book is an attempt to sort of introduce and also compare the similarities and differences
Mm-hmm.
in various religious traditions, in how they can use the age old wisdom
Mm-hmm.
in order to um, address contemporary issues,
Mm-hmm.
and one of which is the environmental crisis. Not only is religious ethics practical, it's basically fundamental still in
Mm-hmm.
people's lives, and it needs to be employed to the greatest extent possible.
Well, that's a very interesting point. You mentioned about these issues regarding environment. Can you tell us more about your ministry, your initiative in this field? If you could provide maybe a story or experience, particularly on the obstacles or the challenges that you face in this field.
Fortunately for me, I really haven't had a lot of challenges. It's been really a fun
Mm-hmm.
and adventurous
Okay.
journey of exploration and learning. I started getting into religious environmentalism,
Mm-hmm.
especially the Buddhist perspective, because I was a missionary in Thailand.
Thailand.
I was in parish ministry
Mm-hmm.
in the northeast of Thailand, and um, I decided that I was going to go back to school and do further studies. And then I decided that I was interested in environmental issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided that I was interested in exploring the Buddhist perspective because I
Mm-hmm.
was already working
Mm-hmm.
in a Buddhist country. So that's how I got into environmental studies, and then especially Buddhist environmental perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I started to explore also other religious
Mm-hmm.
perspectives. And then so I started to write about Buddhism, about Christian
Mm-hmm.
perspectives, about Chinese religious perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
Muslim perspective. So I started to gather all these
Mm-hmm.
different perspectives, and then that's how I ended up with the book that I have. And also, I also wanted to explore things that are important to the
Mm-hmm.
SVD worldview, which is interculturality and
Mm-hmm.
interreligious dialogue.
Yes.
So I also explored how interculturality and interreligious dialogue
Mm-hmm.
are also imperative for environmental flourishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I incorporated this into my writing as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I also try to explore other ways of envisioning
Mm-hmm.
human nature relationship. So, so in my book, I also introduced a new perspective
Mm-hmm.
on how to envision the relationship between uh, human beings and creation
Mm-hmm.
as a relationship of intercreationality.
Mm-hmm.
So we go beyond interculturality. We have interreligious
Religious.
dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
but these basically deal with the human society and
Mm-hmm.
cultures. So I was thinking, okay, how do we go beyond that? What is the relationship between human beings and other
Mm-hmm.
non-human creation?
And recently, in our church, we have the synodality. How do you see interreligious dialogue and interculturality play in this calling of Pope Francis of synodality?
In the contemporary world today, with globalization and international migration, is so prevalent. They say if we put all the international migrants together as a country, it is the fifth most populous country in the world, only behind Indonesia. So, with the movements of people into um, other countries, into other settings for work, for travel, for studies, and so our world has become multicultural and multi-religious. So, it is important for these realities to be addressed and to be um, examined in how we can develop harmonious, collaborative relationships in order to promote environmental as well as social flourishing, because these two aspects go hand in hand. We can't have environmental well-being without social well-being, and vice versa. So, with the idea of synodality, is the idea of listening to every aspect of society, to people from different backgrounds, people from different um, uh, um, situations in life, of different genders, in order to uh, get them to participate and to contribute to the well-being of the church, and then of the world, and also of the common home. So synodality is really at its root, this interdisciplinary, dialogical, dialectical, participatory way um, of organizing our religious and spiritual and social life. And I think it's in a way it's common sense, but it's also really imperative
Yes.
in the world today.
You mentioned, as you explained, synodality in relation to interculturality and interreligious dialogue. Two action words, two verbs: participate and contribute. What advice would you give to young people today, especially those who want to make a difference in the world through their faith?
I also work in the area of communication.
Yes.
So you know, Pope Francis, in his messages on the World Day of Communication each year, always reminds us uh, to dialogue. I think young people are the best as at engaging in dialogue, because the I think most young people are still open to learning, are open to listening to others. I think a lot of times it's the adults, the older people who are sort of ingrained in their ways, and perspectives, whereas young people are more open to learning and listening to others. And Pope Francis, reminds us to dialogue. And how do we do that? Pope Francis says we have to listen with the heart, and then we have to also then speak with the heart, right? And before Pope Francis, Pope Benedict says, uh, make time for silence. So we listen with the heart. We make some time for silence so that we can reflect on what others have said, and then after that we speak, right? And then one of the ways that we can speak, the document towards for presence tells us, is that we can speak by telling our story, you know and I think young people have stories to tell, and when we tell our stories, we can give more context, and it's about us, right? And so it engenders more sympathy and
Yes.
empathy and more understanding from others, because we all have our stories. And I think it's a better way to engage. And so if young people can practice to tell their stories, that is one way that they can make contributions to a more harmonious, more civil, and more mutually respectful environment. not
Mhm.
only in the physical space,
Mhm.
but also in the digital spaces.
To end this conversation, I would like to hear your thoughts about our celebration in our society, 150 years. What are your hopes for our society as well as in our wider church?
Our society is really comprised of just a diverse group of individuals who I think are really passionate in their different ways
Mhm.
about the world.
Mhm.
For me, I'm very passionate about my work as an academic researcher, but
Mhm.
I've seen also other converts, especially those who are working in Thailand.
Mhm.
They spend a lot of energy and effort even within their small parishes in the rural countryside of Thailand.
Mhm.
And where maybe there are not that many Catholics,
Mhm.
but they invest a lot of time and energy and just a lot of heart into their work as well. All of us have our different gifts and
Yes.
talents. And so I think this Jubilee is a way for us to celebrate this
Mhm.
diversity within our own society, and then to share our stories so that perhaps it could inspire others,
Definitely.
in their own ministries, in their own engagements, whether
Mhm.
it's religious or lay people, that they can, through their own uh, initiatives,
Mhm.
can also contribute to the betterment of the world.
Father Anthony, on behalf of the whole congregation, whole community, Arnoldo's family, I would like you to know that you are a sign of hope and an inspiration for us. And I hope that you'll continue, never get tired of doing your ministry, and continue to share your wisdom, your experiences with us, especially the young missionaries who would like to follow the same path like yours. And thank you for joining us in this conversation.
Well, thank you so much
Mm.
for having me, and it's been a really pleasure to be here.
Mhm. Friends, once again, we've finished another conversation. We thank you for joining us, for having us, for spending your time to learn from our SVD missionaries. I am Marlon Bobier Vargas, and until next episode of Treasures of the Past and Experiences of the Present.